Operation Determined Forge. As the Balkans continued to recover from the brutal ethnic wars of the 1990s, NATO recognized that peace was not a finish line, it was a process. The fragile stability achieved in Bosnia and Herzegovina after the Dayton Peace Accords required constant maintenance. Militias were disarmed, but tensions still simmered. Refugees were returning home to destroyed villages and neighborhoods divided by fear. It was in this uncertain landscape that NATO launched Operation Determined Forge in 1998, a mission focused on preserving the hard-won peace and preventing the region from slipping back into chaos. Operation Determined Forge was not a war-fighting mission. It was a continuation and restructuring of NATO's earlier presence in Bosnia under the Stabilization Force, or SFOR. The operation's goal was to deter renewed hostilities, support civilian reconstruction efforts, and enforce compliance with the Dayton Agreement. Through patrols, observation posts, and civil-military coordination, NATO troops worked to ensure that peace was more than just a signed document. It was a lived reality. Thousands of NATO soldiers, drawn from dozens of member states and partner nations, were deployed throughout Bosnia. They patrolled cities and rural areas alike, conducted weapons inspections, secured key infrastructure, and responded swiftly to potential flashpoints. Their mere presence was often enough to prevent outbreaks of violence. But this wasn't just about boots on the ground. It was about rebuilding a society. Operation Determined Forge worked closely with international organizations such as the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, the Office of the High Representative, and local NGOs. NATO troops provided security for reconstruction teams, protected aid convoys, and assisted in rebuilding schools, bridges, and roads. They also played a critical role in supporting the return of displaced persons, sometimes escorting families back to homes in hostile areas, standing guard as old wounds reopened. One of the most important aspects of the operation was its role in fostering professional, multi-ethnic security forces. NATO mentors and advisors helped train the armed forces of Bosnia and Herzegovina, instilling principles of accountability, democratic control, and interoperability with NATO standards. This was not just about defense. It was about nation building. The mission also included a strong emphasis on intelligence gathering and early warning systems. NATO units monitored political developments, tracked extremist activity, and maintained readiness to act swiftly if violence erupted. Exercises and readiness drills kept the troops sharp and sent a message to potential spoilers. NATO was watching, and it would not allow a return to war. Over time, Operation Determined Forge helped turn Bosnia from a battlefield into a state on the road to stability. It wasn't fast, and it wasn't perfect. Corruption, ethnic divisions, and political stalemates continued to plague the country. But the mission created the breathing space needed for institutions to grow and for communities to begin the slow work of reconciliation. By the early 2000s, NATO began drawing down its forces, preparing to hand over responsibility to a European Union-led mission. The operation had fulfilled its purpose: to forge a lasting peace out of the rubble of war. Operation Determined. Forge may not have the drama of combat operations, but its impact was undeniable. It was about quiet strength, consistent presence, and the patient work of peace. In a region defined by fragmentation, it helped hold things together long enough for hope to return. And in the end, that was its greatest success.